usually my topics are really covering more sort of the high level discussions around cybersecurity. It's not really product related or anything related to that. I've been in this industry for a very long time, and I've also been able to work with some very interesting people on some very interesting projects. And over time, what I've learned to understand is, and I'm sure you've heard this before, is that generally across the board, we're really struggling with cybersecurity and all the things that are going on there. So for the last 12 months, starting about 12 months ago, I had already developed an interest in cryptocurrency. But what I really started to learn, try to study was, what is blockchain? What is cryptocurrency? What is blockchain? Why are there thousands of crypto coins? Like, what are you supposed to do with all this stuff? The blockchain piece really interested me because as I started to learn more about it, what I realized is that it has a play, or could have a play, in cybersecurity. I didn't know in what areas specifically, but and I'll show you an example of where it's actually being used. It's quite amazing, actually, I find, anyway, personally. So I'm not going to go into what blockchain is, from a technical level, only as to say that it actually fills the security gap when it comes to confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Those are the three major tenets of cybersecurity. The other thing that it is it's immutable, meaning that when you put data onto the blockchain, it can never be altered. That's the reason why it's used in crypto currencies, because if I'm a company and I generate 1,000 cryptos that I'm going to sell to people, I don't want somebody making their own crypto on my blockchain, right? So it has to have that level of security. It's already encrypted using the strongest encryption. Most organizations don't use encryption because it's very expensive to buy the resources for this in order to make that happen. And ironically, because hackers don't care about the fact that you don't have the resources for this, one of the things that I've seen also too is that even if you get the keys after paying the ransomware, your systems in-house, because they're not designed to deal with encryption, the decryption process can take forever. And so what a lot of these companies are ending up doing is that they're having to restore their backup from backups anyway, because they just don't have the time to wait for the decryption to take place. But the fact that once you put data onto the blockchain, it cannot be altered. That is a really, really important addition, or potential addition, to how we look at security in the future. And not for today. It's still a very new technology, or it's a very new concept for a lot of people to kind of wrap their heads around. So it'll be some time before we can even consider that. But then I ran across these guys. I already knew that they were miles ahead of a lot of countries in terms of their digital transformation. In fact, their digital transformation took place back in the early 2000s when they became independent from the USSR. But in and around 2007, they suffered a major cyber attack from their neighbors across the border just to the east of them. There was a dispute between them. I won't go into that. You can read all about it yourself. I could do an hour just on that on its own. But it scared them enough that they realized that, they pretty much put all of their government services onto their data centers that every citizen can have. But what they needed was something that was more robust from a security perspective. And so they actually built their own blockchain in 2007. That's how long ago these guys actually built that. What they've since done with that build is they created a citizen's ID, much as similar to the ones that we carry around with us, but it also includes your health information as well. Unlike what we experience here, we don't have a health information in the pharmaceutical place, in the doctors, in the walk-in clinic, and up and down the country and everything. Your information basically sits on one blockchain, and that's it. And anybody can get access to that who needs to have access to that. And the way you do that is through this. So every citizen has one of these. They plug it into a card reader. They get access to the information that's in one single place. And if say, for instance, you're lying on the side of the road and you need medical attention and you're unconscious, for instance, when the first responders come, they can actually use this card to get access to your health information to help you there and then, as opposed to sort of guessing or trying to figure out, what's appropriate for you based on your health needs. All of this information is already online. It's totally secure because of the blockchain. One of the things I also learned from that is blockchain use is actually ubiquitous. It's not something that's so brand new that nobody's actually using it. This is just 50 use cases where blockchain is being used in the industry. One of the more famous uses for this, as I've learned in the industry, is Walmart. Walmart actually adopted the use of blockchain and the applications associated with it because they went through a period where a lot of their perishable goods were being returned and it was costing them a lot of money because from the time that this produce was picked to the time it was presented in the store, there was some nefarious goings on where the produce that was picked is not the same produce that ended up in the store. And so they were using blockchain to make sure that from end to end that all of that was secure and it was tracked within the system. And it really changed around their operation. Another thing that they do, they have this concept of a digital embassy. And so every single piece of data that they have in their government database on their blockchain is actually replicated in a data center that sits in another country. This concept of a data embassy, I don't know anybody else that's really doing this. But if the event that they get attacked again, all of their services would just flip over to wherever that data embassy is in another country. And so by protecting them as well. And so in summary for that, what I learned from these guys is that 99% of their government services are online. If you want to do your taxes, you can do them in less than 3 minutes. You just basically go into your tax thing, you check to make sure everything's accurate, you click submit, and you're done. They've had e-voting since 2005, and it's actually saving them around about $700 million a year in terms of their GDP for that. And you can see the equivalents in both the Canada and US. You really need to develop a strategic roadmap. It's so important for the future of protecting our infrastructure. And every citizen in the country deserves to have their data protected and their privacy protected. And this is the way you do it. And that's it.